Good evening. Tuesday, July 22nd, 5:30, public safety meeting. Mr. Clerk, call the roll, please.
Chairman Noon.
Here.
Council Chow.
Here.
Council Yem.
Here.
3 present.
Thank you, Mr. Clerk. So President also acknowledge Councilor Wayne Jeunesse, Councilor Eric Chia. Join us, we have Chief Greg Houdon, Deputy LeBlanc, Captain Nobrega, and Planning Director, so actually Public Safety Research and Planning Director, Mancy, as well as our former, I think your title has changed a little bit, Ms. Dominguez, also joining us tonight. This is as a result of a motion response. There's a couple motion response from the chief. First is the assessment center preparation course. Second, the civil service exam. Third, hybrid hiring. And fourth, citizen advisory committee. I feel that today is an opportunity for us as a city moving forward with a force. Somewhat, this is an opportunity for us to reflect on really the people that we serve. A number of these items really lining up that direction to make sure that going forward, our forces somewhat reflect of the people that we serve, women, minority. I know that Captain Nobrega has been working on that at the training center for the DPD, and looking forward to a greater opportunity for us as a city to diversify that force. If I could ask my, also managers is, peeking in to see how we're doing. Thank you, Manager Gold. So just introduction, if I could, any comment from a member of the committee before we turn it to the first item to the chief. Councilor Chow.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and I want to thank the chief for being here and also bring your executive team to present. I want to thank the chairman and make the motion. It seems like a very comprehensive motion just to get report on the community policing going on by the Lowell police, which the civil service exam is very, very crucial. The citizen advisory committee is very important. I'm looking to hear some report about that as well, but I don't have any questions yet. I'm going to reserve that toward the end, but if it is the planning of the chairman, I'd like to maybe get a report from the chief or a member of your management team to cover all these areas, like the assessment center, the civil service exam, the hybrid, and the citizen advisory committee. These are all connected, and a lot of great work done by the Lowell Police Department, so I'm looking forward to hearing the rest of the report. Again, thank you for being here.
Thank you, Councilor Chow. You're right, we are not going to cover all of this, and even some of this item, we're probably going to ask for a report. Tonight's meeting is going to be recessed. It's not going to be closed, so that we get a report and have dialed into it a little further. So, Councilor Jem, go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I just yield to the chief and his team to give us an update before I have opened up for any question. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Councilor Jim. Chief, with the assessment center preparation course, you could dive into it a little bit in terms of detail for us and how we can, move this forward. Thank you, Chief.
Thank you, councilors. So I just want to point out, at the time the original motion for the assessment center was made, the Lowell Police Department had already began the process of engaging services for an assessment center to take place for the ranks of sergeant, lieutenant, and captain. And I felt at that point it would be inappropriate, where people have already begun studying, reaching out, reaching out for assessment center preparation courses on their own to even engage in a situation where it might be perceived as not being a fair process. So that was the impetus of this motion response, that we have to remain absolutely impartial so that there's no allegations of favoritism that would put us in jeopardy. So if you have any particular questions, I know, so as a result of our recent assessment center, we're actually waiting for the results of that assessment center, and we expect to have those at some point, we're guessing in August at some point in time.
Deputy, or anyone else want to comment on it? No? Okay. So the idea is understand that this year is acknowledge HR directors, Neil Osborne. If you want to take a seat, Neil, up here, in case you want to have any comment on it. Neil?
Oh, George.
Oh, George, I'm sorry. So sorry, George. Have a seat, George. Sorry. You look... Anyway, so Chief, at the time we have this discussion, understand that the individuals, patrolmen and women who plan to take their sergeant or lieutenant exams is already signed up for it, right? Mm-hmm. The idea is not for Chief or you per se to really cater preparation tests to a certain group of the trooper, the patrolmen and women. To all, invite all of them. So I think the opportunity now, not now, but maybe next year, of course, not maybe, to have more like, my thought is having like a mentor, per se, either formal or informal, from the department, so that encourage those patrolmen and women to go beyond the patrolmen and women, particularly minority and women. That's important because that will look really good on the department, but also look good on the force itself, because when you have one person take a step forward, like Captain Nobrega, right? All those young women will follow suit, right, Chief? So the idea is that, yes, you sign up to take exam on your own cost, you pay for that exam, you study for it, but I, as a department head, will offer to do a prep test, pay for, not just to one group, to invite all of you to take that prep test at our training center, the LPD training center. And the money for that, I thought, which is appropriate, is that the Law Enforcement Trust Fund is one of the use for that opportunity, because we do send our officers out of state to training and stuff, right, Chief? So that's my thought.
I appreciate that, and I will definitely take that into consideration. I think one of the concerns that we have from our side of it is, what if we pick the wrong vendor and they steer officers wrong and they don't do well on the assessment center? A lot of people do, and I can speak from experience, when we were taking promotional tests, we discussed this. I had a certain instructor that I liked, that connected with me. Other people didn't use him. And I don't want to be in a position where we recommend a certain test prep vendor and then somebody doesn't do well, and then that comes back on us as an organization.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Chief, I appreciate your comment, and I agree with you. In my profession as a real estate broker, every 2 years we have to take exam, refreshment course, and the state provide a number of school that we can take. So position of the state similar to what you just said, without recommending any particular school, but open up, so any agent brokers can pick and choose a school that they like to do. So I see and I sympathize and I agree with you wholeheartedly. Thank you, Chief.
Councilor Chow, comment?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. As the Chairman mentioned in the beginning, we do have a lot of ground to cover here. And I just want to maybe ask an encompassing question. Maybe you could cover, tie all these topics together, like the assessment center, the civil service exam, and the hybrid. And to start off with, if you just could give us a brief data for the public out there, like how many police officers we have now, and what is the goal? Is the goal to reach 253, or where are we now? How the assessment center, I do agree with you, and as the councilor mentioned, with the civil service exam now, and I want to thank Captain Nobrega for reaching out to all of us to even post on social media to reach out to every aspect of it. And I didn't want to step over Vice Mayor Yam's toe because he posted before me. So I did not put it on my social media because he beat me to it. But if you could, the chief or a member of your team could discuss a little bit about the civil service exam, how the officers know about it, how do they prepare for it, what assistance the police department itself is helping. I know a lot of it is independent. You have to be a self-starter, sign on and stuff like that. What kind of system the police department is trying to make sure that the police officers are applying to do it, and also new members, new cadets. And I think it's very important about the hybrid system, if you could cover that too. Some people perform well on written tests and people don't. So what does the hybrid entail? The qualification, is it education, is it work experience? If you could touch upon that as well. And I know it's a lot, but it's a meeting covering all these four, but I think they are connected, they are tied. And it's not a question that step by step. If you could just give us an overview, and what is the role of the Citizen Advisory Committee for the civic exam as well as for the, we all want to have a quality of life in the city, but also we want our first responders to enjoy their work. What is the Citizen Advisory task to make sure that it's fair, it's transparent for everybody in the everyday working life as well. It's a mouthful, Chief. If you could just touch upon it, because we do have a lot to cover, and we have less than an hour now to go over it. Thank you.
Sure. Thank you, councilors. So let me just start, and again, please feel free to interject at any time with any questions. Let me just start basically where we are right now. Right now, our staffing level is at about 214 officers. We are budgeted for 251 officers. That being said, we have 15 officers right now that are well on their way in the police academy. They started months ago. 5 of them are in the Lowell Police Academy, and 10 of them are in one of the other police academies, Northern Essex Community College. And they're expected to graduate next month. So that's going to bring our total number up to approximately 230. Historically, what we're always looking at is chasing attrition. And the other component to all this is officers that are out on long-term disability. So we're never going to be at full staffing, unfortunately. But I think that if we got to the 230 area for personnel, the city would be well-positioned. That leads us into the upcoming civil service tests. So what civil service did was, the process going off the regular civil service list would generally take approximately 12 to 14 months from the time of the exam, the civil service exam, to the time that we got somebody hired through the police academy on the street, would probably be at a minimum 14 months. One of the things that the Commonwealth did as a result of many communities complaining that the process was slow, that we didn't have flexibility, that by the time we hired, we might lose some in the police academy, had additional attrition, we were always playing catch up. So one of the things that they did was they introduced, rather than a lot of communities leaving civil service altogether, was they introduced what was a hybrid model, or it's also known now as a local registry. And to one of your questions, Counselor, one of the things we did was eliminate the requirement of a test. Some people are not good test takers. But, so what we did was, we said we wanted a cover letter and a resume. Now, we also want to use this hybrid method of hiring as a way of attracting already trained police officers, because that streamlines and speeds up our process exponentially. You go from a 6 or 7 month police academy down to possibly a 4-week PTO program. These officers coming on would already be trained and could hit the ground running in a month or a month and a half. So we're trying to look at the hybrid model of hiring to fill in off the civil service as a gap hiring solution. And what we're in the middle of that process now. I'm going to let Deputy LeBlanc speak a little bit of it. We had, I want to say, originally 16 applicants that were police officer certified, and we had somewhere in the vicinity of 40 or 42 non-sworn people, civilians, that applied. And we prioritized the already sworn people because of that reason, that we could expedite them to the streets and help our staffing levels in a much quicker manner. Deputy, any other?
Thank you, Chief. Before the deputy begin, just to quickly follow up on the hybrid model testing. So is that being used for recruiting new police officers and as well as promoting officers to a higher rank, or like what specific?
Hybrid hiring is only for entry level.
For entry level only?
So you have a civil service list for entry level, and you have a hybrid hiring for entry level.
Okay.
It's only entry level police officers.
Okay. And what do you mean by police officer who are already trained? Are they retire from another department?
Nope.
If
So
they're
they
police
may be-
officers already, how?
Yes, thank you, Counselor. So some of them may already be trained in the police academy and working for other communities.
Okay.
One of the things that the hybrid model did was it expanded the pool of applicants from a variety of communities of what a resident was, or what am I missing on that one?
We just don't have to go through the lateral process, Chief.
Right.
A chief wouldn't have to
Sign off on them coming over.
Right? Okay.
And have you seen, since this been started, just begin to being implemented, have you seen a rise in interest of individuals signing up on yet, or is it just, this is the beginning phase, or?
So we don't have a benchmark. This was the first year, first time
Okay.
for us to see this process. And we're anticipating, as far as sworn, trained police officers, we're expecting to keep an open enrollment, because we can keep a rolling list. And that is also going to help us stay ahead of the attrition rate. We may already have people that expressed interest. We can't hire them right now, but maybe in 6 months, if they're still interested, we can pull them right into the process.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Chief.
Chief, anything else you want Deputy Blanco to add to your comment? Go ahead.
So one of the things that we've also noticed is we were able to get the list or the numbers for the civil service test itself over the years. And when you look back, going back to, let's say, 2013, 214 Lowell residents applied to take the test. This upcoming test in September, as of right now, there's only about another week or two to apply. We only have 33 Lowell residents applying for the test. So we had more individuals put in for our hybrid hiring process, our first hybrid hiring process, than it looks like we might even have for the civil service test. The flexibility that it gives us, we still have to work around academies. So the chief prioritized working police officers right now because there's no academy right now that's starting. So instead of going through the 40-plus candidates that we had that aren't police officers, we focused on the 16 police officer candidates, and we have 5 interviews on Friday. And that actually is the number we were looking for this first initial hire. So as the chief said, they don't have to go through the 24 to 26-week police academy and then a 12 to 14-week PTO program. These officers are already trained, so really they'll do a 2 to 4 week PTO program that's just going to let them know how the Lowell Police Department does radio calls, does dispatch, writes reports, does complaints and things like that. So in this process, which we started about a month ago, you're probably looking at 5 police officers, boots on the ground by themselves without a training officer by the end of August. So it allows us to pivot right from that civil service hiring process to getting boots on the ground, which, like the chief said, no matter what our number is that we're targeting for hiring, we always have officers that retire, resign, to go on and do other things. And in today's world, these younger officers, it's becoming more like the private sector where they're looking for better opportunity. And when you look at the Lowell Police Department, what we have for specialty units, for promotional opportunities, we are a department that stands out as a place where young officers that might be in a smaller town, not as much opportunity for promotion, they're going to want to come over to us and be police officers in a police department like the city of Lowell. So it really, it's the ability to pivot. So we're not just stuck in this one single hiring cycle every year. that goes to the Lowell Police Academy and takes, again, 26, 38 weeks before you've actually got boots on the ground. In this instance, and it's rolling. So those 40-plus individuals that aren't police officers, they're still in our process. They haven't moved forward, but they're still rolling. And like the chief said, when and if working police officers might reach out to us, we can say, hey, submit your resume and cover letter, and it's a rolling process. So the only mitigating factor is that it can only be 50% of our hires. So 50% have to remain coming from civil service, 50% from the hybrid hiring, and that's over a 5-year span. So in this first 5 years, if we were in a situation, which we're not, where we really needed officers, we could front load 20 local register hires and then just catch up over the next 3 years with civil service. So it's just the flexibility that allows us to keep our staffing up, which obviously it boosts morale, improves morale for our officers, because now when they're putting in for time off, they can get it, or they're not getting forced on overtime. So it really is, it benefits us in a number of ways.
Captain Nobrega, are you as excited as I am with the hybrid hiring, giving your advocacies for women and minority hiring, and also can you also speak to that, but also speak to the work you're doing to do an informational session for the upcoming civil service exam? Go ahead.
Thank you, Counselor. Yes, I'm very excited with the hybrid process because, again, this helps us to mitigate the hiring process. Before, we only had a hiring cycle once a year, and now this is changing that process, and it allows us, again, to kind of change that process and to actually get boots on the ground a lot quicker. In terms of the preparation for the civil service exam, I do have 3 sessions that are coming up next week. Those are not specific to the exam itself. I have a tentative date for the 3rd week of August to do a civil service exam preparation course, and that is that's subbed out to another person that comes in, and he brings in the material. He goes over it in depth with all the people that show up to take the exam. What I have for next week is basically an informational process to explain the process of how to go online and actually apply for the civil service exam. And if they need a waiver for the $75 fee, there is a process for that as well. So next week, there will be 3 sessions, 3 evenings of next week that they can come in and they can sign up or not sign up and just come in. I'll be there that evening explaining the process, and it'll be a rolling process. So anybody that comes in will get an explanation of how to do it. If they don't understand how to go on civil service, the computer system will be up and the screens will be up, and I will manually show them how to mitigate that process. And then anybody that shows up next week is welcome to come to the August session, where they will also get the actual civil service exam preparation course. And that course, again, is free to the public. The department pays for it. And the last group that I had last session for this exam that took place in March got a lot of good feedback. I actually saw a few candidates that came to that process that were really happy with it. So that's something that we've been doing as a department to kind of help people gain the interest. But as I mentioned to you all yesterday, we also need your help to spread the word. We do our best to spread the word as much as we can. I actually brought a bunch of these flyers to some of the businesses yesterday, as well as sending them to you all, just so that the word can be spread, because the interest for the civil service exam has gone down, not just for our department, but across the state. So it's something that we've all, law enforcement departments have been struggling with and been struggling to get that interest back up. So I'm excited to kind of help with that.
Thank you. Chief, go ahead. Before I turn to Ms. Dominguez, she's been patiently waiting.
I'm sorry. Let me just to put a number to what Captain Nobrega just said about interest in taking the test. In 2013, statewide, there were 16,971 applicants for the police officer position statewide for civil service. In 2024, there were 6,084 total applicants. It's been a consistent decline, not just in this state, but in every state across the country. And in fact, in 2024, the IACP released an informational report about the state of recruitment and retention in a continuing crisis for policing. It's online. Anybody can go and look at it, and here it is right here. And it basically summarized some of the challenges. It had conducted a survey with a lot of chiefs across the country, and it identified some of the biggest challenges, and I just want to list a couple of them for you. It said, 1, unqualified applicants. 2, competition from better paying agencies. 3, general lack of interest in police work. 4, recruiting diverse candidates. And 5, limited recruiting budget or staffing. And when you look further in that article and they talk about some of the recruitment strategies that show promise, I think the Lowell Police Department is hitting on a lot of those cylinders. And just so the public can hear some of it, some of their strategies that they highlighted that showed promise were sponsoring an academy training or cadet program. We do both of those. Grow your own officer development within the community. We have a cadet program. Use of geo-targeted and data-informed social media ads. Ms. Manzi and her team are all over social media on multiple platforms. They do amazing work on that. And finally, they do collaborations with other agencies to share applicant pools. And that is covered with the new hybrid hiring models, with the redefinition of what a resident is to open up the applicant pools. So we are well aware of what the challenges are, and we're trying our darndest to reach as many people as we can to get them interested. And I want to thank the manager and his team and this council for making us one of the most competitively paid police departments in the Commonwealth. So with that, I'll...
Thank you, Chief. We know that the transfer officer through the hybrid, the foot on the ground thing that you're talking about is going to come fast and furious, because Lowell pay more than Drake in other town. Of course, Lowell is bigger city than Drake and other town. So, Ms. Dominguez, any thought, any input on this subject matters or that we just spoke of as far as the assessment center preparation course, like a prep course for those patrolmen and women who wanted to or applied to take exam and waiting to take exam, and a month before exam that the police department, our police department offered to pay for a prep test for all of them, all right, so that they all can prepare, say a month before, so they know where they lack it. Surely picking up the right vendor. Second was about the civil service exam that I know that Captain Nobrega had been working really hard to try and get the information session out there. Third would be hybrid hiring. I think we can talk about the citizen advisory later. I would like to have the committee come and just share with us their thought and whatnot. We can recess this meeting and talk about it the next meeting. But on those three subject matters, your thought, please.
Thank you, councilors. My thought would be to help also to prepare, provide multilingual promotional courses and material. As a diverse city that we are, that's what we could provide on the city side to help that.
Thank you. Very concise. Appreciate it. Councilor, either Councilor Janes or Councilor Gachia. Councilor Gachia, go first. Go ahead.
Thank you, Chairman Noon. I echo what the chief is saying. If you want to be a police officer, the first step you should be able to do is look into how to become one. And I think, you know, if like our paving list that you have, most communities put out multiple vendors and you get to choose one. It isn't the city's responsibility to tell you who the best paving person is or that. And I agree with the chief again when he talks about the lack of people wanting to take the exams. If you look at the profession of an educator, it's the same way. And you look at the paras, you can't even get them because no one wants to actually work as a para and then work their way up into becoming a teacher. So I think it's society at this point, and you're trying to break the norms, and I think the Lowell Police Department has done a phenomenal job at trying to do that and trying to get out there, but a lot of parents don't want their children to be police officers. There's a danger, inherent risk with it, and I think that how do we break that in our city? And I think they've done a very, very good job if you look at the crime stats and the trends that they're going deeply down. So I would credit our police station for that and our administrators over there. But when you look at the city as a whole, how do you get kids to invest in police work? I think it comes down to, you know, the cost up front isn't that heavy compared to a college education. So, but the time they can take the exam is another thing. Is it 21, Chief, that they can take the exam at?
Yeah.
21?
Yes, Counselor, 21.
Yeah, so you got to wait the 3 years after, so you're going to go lift forms or something and then become a police officer. So that's the challenging piece. What are you going to do from the day you graduate high school until that piece? And maybe there's a way that we can do it like the water department used to do. They used to have a training program that lasted until you were apt to pass those exams and you got in to become a police officer. Like, probably the dispatches is probably the best piece that actually has a lead into what they do for work. So I think I would commend them for the work they're doing in our community in trying to get it, but it is a national trend that people do not listen anymore to authority. And who wants to go out there and do what they do some days and have people get away with what they do? And it's the same thing with an educator. Who wants to walk into a classroom and be treated the way that government allows people to treat them? So I thank them for what they do, and continuing to try to, break that barrier down to get to where you guys are looking. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Jeunesse. Councilor Jeunesse, go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. First, I'd like to echo the thanks to Chief Hudon and your team. I think we're making great strides here. It comes out in the stats, just like Councilor Gitcher said, and it comes out in conversations with community members. There's a good amount of respect and collaboration that happens with this department and our neighborhood groups and our residents across the city, and I think that's foundational to making this thing work that we call a city. And thank you to your team for that, and thank you to everyone who's pitched in to put the effort in to build those relationships and to push things forward here. Only quick question I had was around the hiring, the hybrid hiring strategy, which is, there was a story that stuck with me from several years ago where a chief wanted to hire a certain officer who was on the civil service list, but they were too far down the list. The reason they wanted to hire this person was that they were fluent in Khmer, which is obviously a skill that is huge in the city of Lowell. To have officers who can speak the languages of our residents is huge. So does the hybrid strategy help kind of plug those holes, help you make hires to be more community conscious in that way or other ways?
Thank you, Council, for the question. So it does, to a certain extent, that people that speak Khmer apply. So if we're not getting the applicants to apply to us, then I can't just hire them. And I think when you look across the state, specifically with our Asian community, you don't see a lot of applicants. And Deputy, I believe you have a couple of numbers that you can, just for highlighting purposes of what we're talking about.
So when you compare our residents that are applying to take the police test to the statewide numbers, we're actually doing very well. So we typically trend around 18 to 24% Asian residents taking the civil service test, whereas the state number, pretty much straight across the board, going back to 2013, is only 3% of Asian individuals that are taking the police test. So it shows us that our recruiting is working. I mean, we still just continue to go at it and try to look at any different venue that we can do to do recruiting, but our numbers, percentage-wise, compared to the state, reflect the population of the city, so that's a plus.
Unfortunately, with regard to the hybrid.
But with the hybrid, we only had one Asian applicant police officer.
And within the next few weeks, we're expecting to onboard that officer. Yeah. So.
Well, that's a good one. Khmer was just the example in the forefront of my head, but obviously there's a lot of different languages and a lot of communities here in the city, and that problem replicates itself across the city, right? The more that we can have these conversations in someone's native language, the better for everyone involved. And so I know your team's working on that, and I appreciate that this is an angle to help that. And I think it just speaks to really the need to have good partnerships between the police department, between community groups, the nonprofits in the city, to really develop those those pathways and that ability to hire people down the road. Obviously, this isn't a problem we're going to be able to solve overnight. It's something we've been beating on for a while, and we're going to continue to beat on it. And hopefully, we'll move the needle as we move along here. But thanks again.
Thank you, Councilor Chines. Speaking of Khmer, we also have a executive director for CMAA, Sotia Chumbrum, joining us tonight. He's listened. If you want to comment on it, you're welcome to. It's up to you. Also joining us, we also have Councilor Corey Belangers and Corey Robinson just walking in. So, Councilor Jam, any other comment on this three subject matter?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I just want to thank the chief and his department and for their hard work in reaching out to all community in our city. And as chief was talking about, the result reflect that hard work. But I also want to that we continue this push to get the community involved, because being a police officer as an Asian person is not a well-liked position, so it's really difficult to overcome that. However, with that said, I learned that the younger generation are more in tune, are more ready to become police officer. I had situation that younger Cambodian person approached me, asked me how to become a police officer. So not too long ago, about 3 weeks ago, so I mentioned to him the opportunity that he can reach out to the police department, because there's an effort in recruiting. So I just want to pass that on. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Jam. Councilor Chow, anything else to add on this subject matter?
Sure. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I just want to also make a comment on the hybrid or the local registry model. Just want to let the public know, hear from all the comments by the councilors and chief and the management team. This hybrid, even though it's not strictly a civil service exam, everyone is qualified. I'm glad that you mentioned about if they get higher other than the traditional method, so to speak. Most of the applicants, they have been trained, they have experience, and they're fit mentally, physically. So I just want to assure the public, like every single one of our police officers that they hire by the civil service exam or by the hybrid model, they're qualified to do public service, to serve you in the best capacity as possible. I just want to, another thing is on item that I was hoping to get maybe some enlightenment on is, I know that the Citizen Advisory Task Force has been meeting monthly. I was wondering what are some of the concerns, what have been the comments, what have been some of the advice. If you could maybe just give us a brief report on, what's going on, what are they saying, so that way you pretty much are the eyes and ears of the citizens on this task force for us.
Thank you, Councilor. So yes, as you indicated, we have been meeting monthly, and I'd like to just recognize and thank the president of the Citizens Advisory Committee who's here, Mr. Prokop, who's here. He's done a great job leading the committee, and I'll let him speak to, if he chooses, what he sees. What we do is when we meet, we tend to address a lot of the upcoming events, things that are going on that are current events for the police department, where we're going to be engaging the community. And in the motion response, I listed a few of those, like Coffee with a Cop, bike rodeos, annual youth outreach events that take place at the JFK. Any of our, and I've seen Mr. Prokop at many of the Coffee with the Cops, where we're able to engage with the community and have positive interactions. It's also an opportunity for us to hear from them about what any of their concerns that they're hearing, just like when we go out to the community neighborhood groups. This is just another venue for us to have a positive impact and outreach in the community. And at this point, I turn it over to Mr. Prokop if you choose.
Go ahead. I'm going to invite you back for the next meeting, a subcommittee meeting anyway, for not just you, but also committee member. Go ahead.
Well, Thank you for the invite. Thank you, Chief Udon, for putting me on the spot. As you would. Well, as the chief said, I mean, we do events, and part of the issue that was displayed here is the fact that there aren't that many people that want to be police officers or in law enforcement. It's also with the engagement of the public, of the residents. One of the things you see, I think most people have self-interest. When there's an issue, they show up. So if things are good, you don't see a lot of attendance. But with this department, we are consistent in meeting and we are consistent in engaging, just as I believe you mentioned, like with the neighborhood community organizations. All of our organizations, we have the police department, you know, not just giving report, but just interacting, you know, with the neighbors. And I think with, you know, with this group, there can be a lot that we can do in addition to Coffee with a Cop and things like that to make ourselves out there. One of the things I've proposed was that with other events, other than Coffee with a Cop, that this committee show a presence as well. And we do that because we try to entice people that, for lack of a better term, police are our friends as well. They are our residents, they are our neighbors. And this department, and I'm saying this from not from experience as a cop, but experience of knowing a lot of law enforcement in other cities. And I can safely tell you that this department is probably on the cream of the crop, one of the best departments from my friends from other areas of law enforcement tell me about the Lowell Police Department. And I think that is because of the community policing that we do. And as a Citizen Advisory Committee, when I was enticed to join, I didn't have to be enticed. My arm didn't have to be twisted because I believe in what we do. I believe in being out there, and most of you know who I am. I like to be out there for the city. And with the department, I intend to do the same thing as the chairman of the committee. So, question.
Thank you, Chief. You all set, right?
No, go ahead, Chief. You got something else?
Go ahead.
So thank you to George, and I'd just like to add that, you know, it is summertime right now, and we've had a few of our appointments that are expiring. Their terms are expiring. So we're going to kind of be looking to put out there for some fresh blood, if you will, from our, at the college and high school level. A couple of our, of those individuals are graduating high school and college, and they're going to be moving on. So we have about 4 vacancies that we're going to be looking to fill come September. So this is kind of like a forewarning to the public. We'll be looking for it if any of our students are out there listening right now. I think one of the other important things that the Citizens Advisory Council does is they can clarify information that they see on social media. We get a lot of misinformation that's put out on social media, and every month, if they have an opportunity or need to, they can clarify any of that with us and get the actual information. Like, is this event open to kids? And Mary Ann, Ms. Manzi obviously fields a lot of those questions for me, but it's another great opportunity for us to get the positive messaging of the department out there.
Thank you, Chief. Deputy, anybody else want to add to it? If I could, George, we're going to recess this subcommittee meeting, invite you and your committee member to come back.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Report to us on, you know, what have you been doing, you know, how all this going on here, what thought you have in terms of going forward, and what need to do, what support do you need from the council or the city, because you and your team is in an important position to make sure our police department, you know, look more inviting.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
I just want to thank you, Mr. Chair. I just want to ask the Chief a follow-up question on the national report that you citing some of the challenges that facing a lot of departments throughout the country. One of them you mentioned the qualification, they're not qualified. When you say that, what the requirement is, for people who will watch us at home?
Sure. So whether it's a hybrid hiring or right off the civil service list, they have to be 21 years or older, and we prefer Lowell residents, but we will go outside the residency list. They must have a high school diploma or GED. Higher education is always preferred. They must be a U.S. citizen or naturalized citizen. They must have a valid Massachusetts driver's license or be able to acquire one. Their background must be clean. They must be able to pass a background investigation with no felony convictions. They must be able to pass a medical and psychological exam as well as a drug test. And for a lot of people that are listening, that includes marijuana. Marijuana may be decriminalized, but it is not legal, and you cannot be doing it as a police officer. They must be able to pass a physical fitness test and meet the standards of the Lowell Police Department. And finally, they must demonstrate a genuine interest in law enforcement and hopefully want to be a Lowell police officer and not just use us as a stepping stone to a state or federal job. Those are the requirements, Counselor.
Thank you for that clarification, Chief. This person has a high school diploma, and then he was concerned that he may not qualify. I did not hear you mention about the height, about the weight, or anything like that, right? So not of that, right?
No,
Okay.
we'll take. I'll refer them to Captain Nobrega, and if needed, she'll whip him in shape.
Thank you, Chief.
Thank you.
Councillor Goodyear,
Thank you.
then Councillor Chinese.
Chairman Noon, through you to the chief. Chief, as we get tougher and tougher, as we don't have as many applicants, are we watering down what you guys do in a lot of ways? Because, as you see, we're moving down and down on some of the things that were different from when you guys qualified. Like they went from push-ups to, I'm not planks, but, I'm just wondering, are we pushing down? And as you're watching in the courthouses, the legal system's getting stronger and stronger on the defense side. And we're watering down and down and down on the criminal side. So I guess I don't want your opinion, because I think what's going to happen is I'll put you in a bad spot. But I just think that at some point, we have to get people who have the aptitude up to get to that point, so that I would want my back covered by somebody who actually passed all these things that were a little bit tougher than what we're actually pushing them down to in society right now. I guess that's probably my speaking point. Thank you.
Want to share with Councillor Goodyear your thought on that?
So to answer the easy answer is no, we're not watering down. What happened with police reform is basically with post, there's certain standards that every police officer in the state has to meet. And that includes physical fitness, criminal law, criminal procedure, defensive tactics, everything that they need to hit the ground running to be a police officer is taught. And the reason that they did this is they want it standardized across the state. And that's what's happening. If you ask some of these salty veterans over here, do they think that's an argument for a different day. But no, everybody meets the standards, and that's the standard that we hold our officers to.
Thank you. Councillor Chinese?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. One quick question for the chief was just, we discussed earlier the bridging of the gap between someone who's 18 and may want to become an officer and they can't take the test till they're 21. And I was just thinking about the cadet program, and I know we had 2 officers, right, join the force through there. So I just was wondering if you might be able to speak a little bit about that, just in case anybody's interested in that.
Sure, that's correct. We actually had our first 2 success stories. They're currently on probation as probationary officers. They're doing a great job thus far. And we currently have 2 cadets in the pipeline that we're anticipating bringing into an academy in the near future. Some of the hybrid hiring of being able to hire certified police officers may mitigate the need for the cadet program, but it'll always allow us to bring people on that might fit that mold of bridging that gap from 18, what are the 19 and a half to 23? Okay. And that might fit in that criteria.
Okay, thank you. And it's funded by a grant, if I remember correctly.
It was.
No longer.
It's absorbed now into our.
Okay, that was going to be my question is, you know, when the grant was expiring, how it was being funded, and whether or not there's a need to consider expanding that as part of the city budget going forward. I don't think we need to answer that question tonight, but it's something to think about and ponder for future discussions, I think. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Chines. Councilor Chines, Councilor Yam, anything else? Okay, all set, Councilor Chow?
If I just maybe just a last questions. I know that you know, talking about bridging the gap, I want another area of bridging the gap, and you know, it's interesting that you brought up that you know you have less Asian American applying now because we're going to hybrid. That's kind of interesting, right? It's like less now and maybe more in the coming weeks. And in the city where it's probably one of the most diverse city in the country, we have about 70 different spoken languages at the high school alone. So I'm just wondering if you have any data and reporting statistics to show how, you know, the diversity of the Lowell Police Department. Do we have a number of, like, you know, Portuguese, Hispanic, Latinos, Asian American, like, officers? Like, where are we at with the numbers and reports on the diversity in our city?
Thank you, Counselor. As luck would have it, we have that data here for you. I'll let Deputy LeBlanc field that.
So for our total sworn officers, we have 214 officers as of today, 70% white, 18% Hispanic, 8% Asian, 4% Black. Our recent hiring demographics, though, if we look back within the last 5 years, we've hired 64, 58% were white. Hispanic jumped from 18%, which is our total, to 30%. Asian and Black are both at 6%, and that's over the last 5 years. One of the important statistics, though, and Mary Ann Manzi likes to show the transition or how we've evolved over the years. For officers with over 20 years on the job, we have 5% Asian officers, 3% Black officers, 13% Hispanic officers, 77% white. For officers under 20 years, we have 9.5% Asian, which is up from 5%, 20% Hispanic, which is up from 13%, and Black officers remain for pretty much the same at 3%, and then white officers 66%. So that shows you the evolution of how our numbers are changing from year to year. For the, kind of like we had mentioned, for the civil service test statewide, especially for Hispanic and Asian, for Hispanic, we're about at the same statewide number who's taking the test. For Asian, we're far above it. We're at between 18 and 24%, depending on the year, whereas the state number is 3%. So yeah.
So, Deputy LeBlanc, you break down between male and female officers?
It's 29 female officers, I believe.
Yeah, so
Well, what percentage?
14%.
female, 86% male. So that's something we've also been working towards.
That's Captain Nobrega goal, female and minorities. So I think with the hybrid hirings and everything else that going forward, that we will reach that. You know, we can build that up. The trend that you said, Captain LeBlanc, that you know, going forward, we look to see more of a diverse force than we have now. Out of, as you said, 214, less Asian, less minority in general, and female in this case. So we have work to do, really. As a department, of course, we are a safer department than most other department, most other city and town in the Commonwealth. But we do have work to do to make it a better department. Captain Nobrega, if you could, for the public, the information session that you scheduled to have this upcoming week on the civil service exam that about to start and take place in September, I think September 17 to 19. So go ahead, if you could share with the public.
Mr. Chairman, before Captain Nobrega, so I just want to finish a comment.
Go ahead.
To the deputy's point, great data, great information. Appreciate you had ready for this meeting, and a lot of great progress. Very pleased to hear the information, and it's a lot of work, and it's a long-term work for many decades. So thank you for the information. Thank you.
Captain Nobrega.
Thank you. So next week on July 28th, 29th, and 31, I have 3 different timeframes scheduled. So July 28th, it'll be from 3 p.m. to 7 p.m. It'll be at 115 Middlesex Street at the Training Division. July 29th from 5 p.m. to 9 p.m. Anyone can just walk in. It'll be a rolling session, as I mentioned. And then July 31st from 3 p.m. to 7 p.m. as well. And then for the civil service exam preparation course, that is tentatively scheduled for the 3rd week of August. I'm just waiting for the confirmation on the vendor, and that will also be at the Training Division. And again, that's free to the public. It will be posted on our social media. I will share it with all you 3 as well, so that you can also send that out, and hopefully we'll get a larger amount of interest for that session as well. Thank you.
Motion. I made the motion to continue the session.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Mr. Clerk, this meeting is recessed. Please schedule us at the next meeting. Thank you. Thank you, everyone, for being here.
Good job.
Yeah.